Years ago, when I was still a young monk, I spent most of my time in solitude, meditating and praying. I believed that peace came from being alone, from avoiding distractions and focusing inward. Life in the monastery was simple, and I thought I had everything figured out. But I was wrong. One evening, as the sun was setting and the sky painted itself with soft orange hues, a traveler arrived at the monastery. He was an older man with a long silver beard and eyes that seemed to have seen much of the world. He looked tired, worn, yet there was something peaceful about him. He sat down in front of me, and without saying a word, we simply shared the silence. As the hours passed, I felt the urge to speak, to offer him some of my wisdom, to share what I had learned. But I stopped myself. I realized that sometimes silence can speak louder than words. So we sat there, simply being, until the moon rose high in the sky. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of silence, the old man spoke softly. He said, "Young monk, I see you seek peace, but I can tell you that peace is not found in isolation. It is found in the people you meet." At first, his words confused me. I had always thought pisestakio meant detachment from the world, away from the noise of others. But the old man's gaze never left mine, and his voice carried a weight that made me pause. He continued, "The people who enter your life, whether you choose them or not, are not by accident. Each person brings with them a lesson you need to learn. If you can open your heart to them, they will guide you to deeper wisdom than you can find on your own." I didn't understand at that moment, but I listened carefully, and over the next few days, the old man stayed at the monastery, silently observing. It was during this time that I began to reflect on his words and realize the truth of them. The next week, a woman came to the temple. She was grieving. Her husband had recently passed away, and the weight of her sorrow seemed to fill the room as she entered. I, as a young monk, believed my role was to offer her comfort, to offer advice on how to ease her pain. But I remembered the old man's words. The people we meet are not just to be helped. They are also there to help us learn. I didn't speak much. Instead, I simply sat with her. I listened as she shared her heartache, her fears, and her regrets. In those quiet moments, I realized something about my own heart. I had never truly allowed myself to grieve. I had hidden my emotions under a veil of meditation and discipline, believing that letting my emotions show was a sign of weakness. Sitting there with this woman, I felt a deep connection to her sorrow. Her grief was teaching me to open my heart, to allow myself to feel. In a strange way, she was healing me as much as I was trying to heal her. And in that moment, I understood the lesson. People don't come into our lives by chance. They are mirrors, reflecting parts of ourselves we may have neglected or misunderstood. From that day on, I began to see every person I met as a teacher. The village merchant who was always in a hurry taught me patience. The child who smiled at me with innocence reminded me of the simplicity of joy. Even the beggar on the street, whose eyes were full of pain, taught me compassion in ways words could never. You see, life is not just about what we do on our own. It's about the connections we form, the lessons we learn through the people who enter our lives. Each person, whether a brief encounter or a long-lasting relationship, comes to teach us something. They may challenge us, they may bring us joy, or they may show us our own flaws. But they always bring with them a lesson, a chance to grow. I now live with the understanding that the people who cross our paths, whether they come in joy or in pain, are never accidents. They are part of our journey. Each person is a gift, even if their presence feels difficult at first. The next time you meet someone, whether they are a friend, a stranger, or someone who challenges you, remember this. They are not here by chance. They are here to show you something about yourself. Be open to the lesson they bring, and you will find that life itself becomes more meaningful, more connected, and more peaceful.